Hello. I was planning on doing a video today on what might be a good choice for a beginning celestial photography rig. Something you could use for EAA. I have a number of telescopes around here, but the one I figured would be the least expensive and most generally useful for that purpose would be an SV Boney 503 80 ED optical tube, along with I have a Founders Optics, some other brand would do, although I like this one, 0.8 field reducer corrector so that the stars look good around the edge, and an SV Boney 705 dedicated astronomy camera. I like the 705 because it's got a larger field of view than most other planetary cameras. This shoots at f7, but with the field reducer it's shooting at f5.6. That's fairly fast, and it has a good enough field of view so you can get most objects in it. Now for this kit, I'm mounting it on my Skywatcher Star Traveler GTI mount. It's a light mount. In fact, I can actually pick the whole thing up. I can't do that with an EQ6. Comes with a built-in polar scope, and it's fairly stable. As long as you don't put over 11 pounds on it. This rig here is less than 11, so it looks good. However, and this was the problem I came up with, this runs about $1,600. And if you plan on doing astrophotography with it, you'll need a tracking camera, a tracking scope, an ASI air computer, a filter wheel instead of a filter drawer, some $300 filters to put in it. You end up spending well over $3,000 for a beginning astrophotography rig. And I'm not real sure that a beginner wants to spend over $3,000 or even $1,600. Now this right here was my first photograph I ever took of the sky, right here. It's a really crummy photograph of the Orion Nebula. I could see it right there out of my averted vision. I had this, a little 80 millimeter short tube 80 Celestron Nexstar. I bought it used for $72. It was 17 years old, but I heard the newer ones had plastic focusers and not as good optics. Anyway, I took the photograph, and I recall being really, really pleased. Oh, I had the telescope and a cell phone adapter on my cell phone. I didn't have a mount yet, so I stood out there on the front porch and put the telescope. I steadied it on one of the pillars in my front porch. Got that thing lined up, steady, pink, and hit a 1/15th of a second exposure. I was really, really, really pleased with that. It's a horrible, crummy picture, but I recall the joy I felt. Light had traveled thousands of years just to get to my camera. I thought, yeah, I want to do celestial photography. I had a $300 budget. I didn't have a $1,600 budget. I didn't have my Hyperstar and SCT is over $3,000 with the media mount. I didn't have that kind of budget. Fortunately, I had good credit. So even though I'm retired and living on Social Security, I was able to slowly but surely work my way into it. But I knew before I started I wanted to take up celestial photography. There's a lot of people that don't know that. I mean, they're living here in Kansas, out on the farm, and you know they go to the square dance once a week, go to the play day with their horse once a month during the summer. They don't know if they want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours to learn to use a telescope and a camera and all of the post-processing and all the settings you have to have on your capturing software. So it's kind of hard for them. Hard to commit to the kind of commitment you have to have, both in money and time, to take up a new hobby. Sometimes, as I'm wandering around on YouTube, I'll stumble across someone who's just started. But when I see them, I go ahead and just subscribe to them and say something encouraging, nice, good effort, whatever. And I think I can see in my mind when they see the reaction to their photographs and people giving them thumbs up and stuff, how much joy that must give them. The other day I was watching a video done by Ed Ting on smart telescopes. I never liked smart telescopes because, in my mind, the hobby is all of the expense, frustration, endless trials and errors of trying to get a good, a crummy photograph. So I kind of oppose the notion of Alexa, take a photograph of M31 in Andromeda. That wasn't the hobby to me. He was saying in his review, his video on smart scopes, how they are the future of astrophotography. But right now, they cost too much, they don't take very good pictures, and don't buy one. In time, they will develop and mature. I thought, well, that still makes sense. And then he said, just not long ago, a fellow ran up to me at one of the star parties with his phone, saying, look at the photograph I took. And of course it was a badly underdeveloped, kind of a crummy photograph of, if you look carefully, you could distinguish the Horsehead Nebula. And I don't know what he told the fellow, but I certainly hope he said something encouraging to him, because at that moment I thought, wait a minute, this guy with his kind of a crummy photograph of the Horsehead Nebula must feel exactly like I felt when I took that photograph of the Orion Nebula. And that's when my whole opinion of smart scopes changed. And I ordered this, a Dwarf 2 telescope from Walmart. It arrived today. This little box for $300 has a telescope and a camera and a go-to mount all right here in a little bag with a strap you can carry around with you. I'm elderly and feeble, and even I can pick it up with one hand. Can't balance it, being old and feeble, but I can pick it up. And I have it in my head. Some fellow from here in Kansas wanted to take up a new hobby, and he thinks how nice it would be to take pictures of the sky, so he saves up all this money and stuff, orders one of these things from Walmart. It comes out, it arrives at his house, he opens it up, reads the instructions and everything, goes out, sets it down on the ground, and in 15 minutes there's a really crummy picture of the Horsehead Nebula or Orion Nebula. And I'm thinking, that will hook him on astrophotography. He will want to sincerely take this hobby up. So instead of just setting, like you do with this, the gain and the length of the sub, and whether or not you want to use the UVI cut filter, little basic things, he'll experiment with that and get better at taking the photographs. And eventually he may buy something like this little $1,600 setup I've got here, or go the whole route and instead of doing EAA, go astrophotography, and in 25 years of astrophotography, he'll be taking pictures like Ed Ting does. In any event, that's my opinion on smart scopes has changed, because it's a way for a complete person who knows nothing about astronomy, knows how to use a phone, but you have to know how to use a phone to work this thing, can start off and on day one start taking pictures. Yeah, and that's I'll be doing an unboxing and a review of this, but I kind of think it's going to change my opinion as to what the best very first telescope for photography for one that doesn't have a lot of money. Now, Baron Trump, he could buy the Hale telescope out of Palomar, but not everybody is Baron Trump. Some people have to start small and work their way up. And that's what I think on this topic. So until I see you again, happy trails.